I think I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth's sweet flowing breast, a tree who looks at God all day and lifts her leafy arms to pray, a tree who may in summer wear a nest of robins in her hair, a tree whose bosom snow has lain, who intimately lives with rain. Poems are made by fools like me, but only God can make a tree. How true are these words by American poet Joyce Kilmer? Any doubt? Just sit under a tree. Good morning, namaskar, salam alaikum. This is your host Shereen Saif, and I welcome you back to another episode of Malhaar Morning Raga Season 2.
This program is brought to you by Dobowi Group and supported by Fabindia.
Every Saturday at this time, you know that we connect with you, bringing you the magic of morning raga from Indian classical music. And no prizes for guessing who my co-host is here today. Please welcome once again the founder and director of Malhaar, Jogiraj Sikidar.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jodira.
I was completely lost in that poem, and I was actually visualizing the tree.
How it lifts his arms and prays, and it's beautiful, isn't it? So simple but so touching.
And you know, I feel people who can put these thoughts in beautiful words, or those who can paint, I wish I could.
You can. You just have to try.
Okay, maybe. Yeah.
So on that note, let's welcome our artists of this morning. Subhajit ji on Hindustani vocal, Pradeep Chatterjee on the Tabla, and Manjeet Singh ji on Harmonium. Later in this episode, we will be joined by Ken Zuckerman, all the way from Switzerland, who's a Sarod player. Now, we will be connecting with him to find out how he moved into Indian classical music after having spent many years studying Western classical music. But before that, let's go to Subhajit ji. Subhajit ji, what will you present for us today? Can you explain a little bit about the raga and the composition that you're going to present?
Today I am going to perform Rag Bilawal. Rag Bilawal is derived from Thaat Bilawal, where we use all the Shuddha Swaras like Sa Re Ga Ma Pa Dha Ni Sa. But Rag Bilawal is not like this. Rag Bilawal is like Ga Re Ga Ma Pa Ma Ga Ga Da Da Pa Da Ga Re Ga Ma Pa Ma Ga Sa Gama pada ni sa ni da pa da ga re ga pa ma ga, like this. And there is a very very popular raga called Alhaya Bilawal. Alhaya Bilawal has komal nishad, komal ni, like ga re ga pa da ni sa ni da pa da ni da pa da ga. But here in Rag Bilawal, there is no komal ni. We don't use komal ni. Very few artists sing Rag Bilawal. So today I'm trying to sing. Thank you. कृपा कीजिए स्वामी कृपा कीजिए स्वामी कृपा कीजिए स्वामी मैं अनुगामी पैया परूँ तोरे पैया परूँ तोरे कृपा कीजिए स्वामी कृपा कीजिए गगपधानि सा गगपधानि सा गगपधानि सा कृपा कीजिए स्वामी कृपा कीजिए गव गज गपधानि सा नि ध प म ग कृपा कीजिए ए स्वामी कृपा कीजिए स्वामी गम गरे ग प म ग गरे स रे ग म गरे ग प ध नि सा रे ग म गरे स नि ध प म गरे स कृपा की सा रे ग म गरे स नि ध प म गरे स कृपा कीजिए स्वामी कृपा की सा रे ग म गरे स नि ध प म रे ग प म गरे स कृपा कीजिए स्वामी कृपा सा नि ध प म ग प ध नि सा ग म ग प म ग रे स नि रे स ग ग रे ग प ध नि सा ग ग रे ग प ध नि सा ग ग रे ग प ध नि सा कृपा कीजिए स्वामी कृपा कीजिए स्वामी मैं अनुगामी पैया परूँ तोरे तोरे पैया परूँ तोरे कृपा कीजिए सा नि ध नि सा रे सा नि ध प सा ग म रे ग प म ग रे स प म ग म रे ग नि ध ग रे सा नि ध प सा ग म रे ग प म ग कृपा कीजिए स्वामी कृपा कीजिए जगतनाथ तुम उद्धारण जगतनाथ तुम पतित उद्धारण जगतनाथ तुम पतित उद्धारण दुख भंजन तुम हो दुख भंजन तुम हो दुख भंजन तुम हो ज्ञान भक्ति सब दीजिए ज्ञान भक्ति सब दीजिए ज्ञान भक्ति सब दीजिए ज्ञान भक्ति सब दीजिए रखिए लाज मेरो कृपा कीजिए स्वामी कृपा कीजिए कृपा 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 कीजिए
वाह शुभजीत, amazing, मजा आ गया.
Can I applaud?
Yes, please.
That was absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much, Subhajit ji, and thank you to the wonderful accompanists as well. Now, I want to ask you something before we go into our guest artist segment.
Yeah.
This connection between music, time cycle, and seasons. It's so highly developed in Hindustani classical music as opposed to Carnatic. What are your thoughts on that, and how did this happen?
So I think the time of the ragas is pretty much like when you sing, you are creating certain kind of sound, musical sound, which is connected with the nature or the cosmic energy, and also in your nervous system in your body. So it triggers certain nerves with certain kind of sound. This is one. If I may say so, like for example, early in the morning, probably we will not start your day with biryani. Okay,
you should come to Kerala. We start parota and chicken curry in the morning.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, like you have a breakfast, lunch, dinner, specific cuisine or dishes. Same with the music. So this one is a time based. So there are prahars. So every 3 hours, the sun or moon position changes, the earth position changes. So is the music. So there are 8 prahar. So 4 from morning sunrise to the sunset, and then 4 from the sunset to the next day sunrise. So 8 prahar. So every 3 hours it's changing. So that's how the 24 hours. Next is the season. So there are beautiful music relate to like monsoon, spring. So again, like the poetries or the melodic structure, it's again even if you don't understand anything, still you may get a feel of that particular season. So that is broadly, if I can say so, or very loosely, the concept of
Dada, when you were saying this, something struck me, that in Carnatic music it's more devotional. It's like you said, it's rhythm, devotion. This is more connected, in my opinion, with nature and the human body and the cosmos.
Yes, and also like all the rasa. Like like if you go especially with the semi-classical, the Shringar ras, so beautiful, the Thumri, Dadra, Kajri, they are so beautifully Shringar has been depicted in this. So it's not always, or even if I can say so, devotion goes in another level altogether.
That's beautiful. So let's go to Switzerland now.
Yes.
From summery Dubai, we'll go to Switzerland and meet up with Ken.
Good morning, Ken. Thank you so much for connecting with us all the way from Basel, Switzerland.
It's a pleasure to be with you, Jogiraj. Good morning.
So the most obvious question, how did you get into Indian classical music?
That is the standard first question. Yeah, I can give you the short version if you want me then to expand on that from one perspective or another. I'd be happy to. But the shorter answer is that I was living in the U.S. I grew up in the U.S. and I was going to a college, a liberal arts college there, and I had always been interested in music from my youth. I had played guitar, mostly popular music. I composed music. And I saw a poster on this college campus one day that said that there would be this Indian music ensemble there. And I didn't know anything about Indian music, and I saw the name, but it was difficult for me to even put it together because there were a lot of A's in the name, so Ali, Akbar, Khan, and I didn't know who he was. And he was there with, I believe, Shankar Ghosh. And but it was a very small college, and there wasn't much going on otherwise. And so I thought, I'll go and see this concert. And that was my introduction to Indian music and my introduction unknowingly to my future guru for 37 years.
Wow, that's amazing. So when you decided to, take this journey of Indian classical music, what was the reaction in your family?
Well, partly amusement, partly my music friends, my contemporary music friends just thought this was great, because it was that world had become very fascinating. In the West, the world of Indian music, also of Eastern spirituality and religion. So for them, it was like, yeah, go for it. For my parents, it was like, oh dear, where's this going to lead you? How are you going to get a job, and be a productive and integrated person in society playing Indian music. And I wasn't looking very far in the future. I was just saying, this is what I want to do. And I'll, try not to worry.
You have also started Ali Akbar Khan College of Music in Switzerland. How did this happen?
Well, to begin with, I'd have to say that I didn't go to Switzerland to open the Ali Akbar College of Music, but I went to Switzerland to do graduate work in another form of music that I had been specializing in. Also, I was also playing an instrument called the lute, which is a Western guitar-like instrument, and I was playing Renaissance music on the lute, and also I was getting into medieval music, and I wanted to do more work on this, but I was told that the only place in the world where I could really study this kind of music was in Basel, Switzerland, that there was a school for what they call early music, early Western music, and they had a department that was specialized in medieval music, and that's the place that I needed to go. So I explained that to Khan Sahib, and I told him I would only be there for a year, but I just felt it would be good for my musical training to do this. So that year went very well, and they invited me to stay for another year, and they gave me a scholarship to stay for another year.
When was it?
This was in 1978 when I first went there. And then as the third year approached, they offered me a job because they were impressed with that I seemed to be quite a good improviser, and there was just a position open in the medieval department at that point. And so they asked me if I would like to teach and do research in this area of improvisation in early Western music. So I said, yeah, I would really like to do that. And then I had a bit of gumption, because I said, but I also play Indian music, and I'd like to teach that too. And the director of the music academy said, yeah, maybe this is a convenient time to do something like that. We'll get, they say we'll kill two birds with one stone. Although that's not an image that really is so nice to use here, but he thought, yes, this is a good opportunity. So that's how I started teaching Indian music at the academy, and then in the years that followed, I invited Khan Sahib to come to Switzerland to perform there, and then he was invited to compose a piece for a little Malhaar band reincarnation that I started in Basel. And then when he saw that there was so much interest here, he said, Ken, why don't you open a branch of the Ali Akbar College here, and I'll come every year and give a seminar in November on my way to India, and then if I can also do concerts in Europe at the same time. So I was a bit scared, but it was I felt like, yeah, this is wonderful, and it was a good way for me to keep closer touch with him, because if I was going to be working in Switzerland, that I wouldn't be able to live in California. So this would keep me in touch with him, in addition to going back during the summers to continue my training in California.
You have created a musical instrument called Shanti. How did you come up with this idea? And if you can, kind of demonstrate or show us this, please.
Yes, well, that was a development that evolved slowly, and it evolved basically because I've been going to India almost every year for many years, and to get that concert experience, to play for Indian audiences, because that's the best audience, and that's the ones you have to prove yourself to ultimately. And it was always just a given that when I would come for a concert, they would have a tampura and they would have somebody to play it for me. but gradually over the years, I noticed that it was getting more and more difficult to get a tampura that was playable and to get somebody who could play it. The tampuras had fallen into ill repair. They were missing strings, and they wanted to give me an electronic tampura, and I was just horrified. I thought, here you've got one of the most incredible classical musics of the world. The subtle vibrations of the instruments is just out of this world, and now you want to use some digital imitation of a tampura, which is so central. I don't like that at all, and I began to think there must be a better way, and so I started imagining, that, it's always the same, the tampura. That's the whole idea, is that you don't even notice it because it's so constant. So I imagined a disc, kind of circling above the strings of the tampura with little plectrums attached to it to just pluck the strings. And I talked to a friend of mine who was a guitar maker, and he had a great knowledge about both mechanics and also woods. And I said, "This is my idea. Do you think we could do this?" And he said, I don't see why not. Let's try." And so we made it, and I can show it to you right here.
Yes, that's what I was about to ask. Can we see that, please?
So you see, this is a tampura, and this is a tampura that he constructed. It's actually a vocal tampura. That's why it has a big size. We also have a small one for the instruments, but for the singing class that I do, I wanted to have that sound of a real tampura in the classroom. So he made this tampura. We took about 3 years to realize this project, choosing woods, choosing the form, and then it came to fruition. And when you see, you can see those white things that are coming across the strings. Those are plectrums. They're actually made of felt that they use on the piano. So it's both stiff and soft at the same time. There's 6 strings. And it gives a beautiful sound. Can you hear this? Can you hear it?
Yes, amazing. Wow, I'm mesmerized.
Yeah, and it came out better than I even imagined. And when I used to I've been teaching singing for years, because that's how I learned this music. Kansab would always first sing with us for 2 hours, and then we would play our instruments, because he said you can't learn Indian music unless you sing, even if you're an instrumentalist. So he really ingrained that in us, and I always loved to sing, even as a child. So I was very happy to do this. But when I started teaching, I used the harmonium to help reinforce the sound. But I never liked it, because I felt it was out of tune, and it couldn't show the ornaments, the real ornaments of the music. So when this became operational, after a week or so, I just took the harmonium and put it outside somewhere. I said, we don't need the harmonium. This is giving us what we need. The beautiful sound of the tanpura, the drone, and so since we've had this has been our accompaniment in the class, and it makes everyone pay much closer attention, because they can't rely on a harmonium to catch the approximate pitch. It makes me have to sing much better, because it's all all on me to be that reference, and it's increased the level of understanding and quality of singing for me and for my students. It's very, very clear.
Wow, that's so amazing. So Ken, in the end, may I please request you to play something from your music archive maybe for our audience, please? Wow, I'm so mesmerized. Really, really, I can't express in words. Thank you so much, Ken, for connecting with us. We are truly, truly grateful to you. Over to you, Shereen.
Dada, what a fascinating journey he is.
Yes.
You know what really struck me is the bit he talked about the Shanti, the instrument that he created with the Swiss instrument maker. What I think, and we don't acknowledge enough, is we talk about the great musicians, but what about the instrument makers?
Absolutely, Shereen. You know, like quite often I think that the person who is playing that instrument, somebody must have made it. Who is he? Or who is she? You know, like in the very early years of my television journalism, one of the story I had done on the musical instrument makers, and the something I noticed is that they don't want to teach this craft to the next generation because it's not a well paid or it's not organized, and neither any university or school or institution teaches this particular, but without them musicians are nobody.
Exactly.
You know, and they don't want to learn this, and that kind of puts me into thought that is it that in coming years that
We won't have
we won't
instruments.
have this instrument maker, because it's a handicraft, it's another art altogether. You know, the person who's creating sitar, sarod, whatever, harmonium, tabla.
What do you think we can do to protect this craft from dying?
Probably first it needs that the artist, they must acknowledge, they must say that I'm playing. A lot of artists, although they did, like Pandit Ravi Shankar and all, but I think it needs more that today I'm going to play, it's made by this person A, so they get acknowledged properly. Secondly, at the society or at the corporate level or at the government level, you know, some kind of acknowledgement, and put it in a more structured way, so that if I am not son of a instrumental maker, still I would like to learn that craft.
No, absolutely. I think that makes a lot of sense because instruments are not dropping from the heaven. No? They're made by someone.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of farmers, you know.
Yes.
The vegetables don't come from supermarkets. They're made by people, right? I think we have to acknowledge the hand that makes.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And
for
imagine the level
discussing
of
that.
music they have when they're making it, the tuning, everything, every small, it's so intrigue.
Is it still done by ear or is
Yeah,
it by
yeah,
instrument?
absolutely.
No.
Yeah, so they check each and every point of the instrument, whether it's a correct in the sur or whatever. Even I very recently I came to know about even the ghungru. You know, like a certain gharana in Kathak, there was a certain kind of ghungru,
Wow.
and some numbers of ghungru, like, so again, like the copper they use. You know what
The-
kind of
the bell
sound.
metal or whatever it
Yeah,
is, yeah.
exactly.
Wonderful. Who discusses these things?
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Most welcome.
Let's go now to Subhajit ji and
Yes.
close this episode with a wonderful gift from you. Subhajit ji, what have you got for us?
Now, I'll be performing another traditional composition, which is also composed in teen tal, Dab So Neha Lagao. Sa ga je ga ma pa ma ga sa ma je ga ma pa ma ga da pa da ga re ga ma pa ma ga sa ga ma sa da pa da ga re ga ma pa ma ga sa जब सोने लगाओ रे मनवा जब सोने लगाओ रे मनवा जब सोने लगाओ रे मनवा दूजो नाही शरणवा दूजो नाही शरणवा रब सो नेह लगाओ रे मनवा रब सो नेह लगाओ रे मनवा दूजो नाही शरणवा दूजो नाही शरणवा रब सो नेह लगाओ रे मनवा रब सो नेह लगाओ साच सुखी को जग में न दीसत साच सुखी को जग में न दीसत साच सुखी को जग में न दीसत साच सुखी को जग में नादी सत साज सुखी को जग में नादी सत हर रंग मन वचन बा हर रंग मान वचन बा मैं बसे नेह लगाओ रे मनवा रब सो नेह लगाओ रे मनवा रब सो नेह लगाओ रे मनवा
Wow, that was absolutely extraordinary. You are so lucky to have these artists in Malhaar. Seriously.
Absolutely, we are really blessed.
Absolutely. So viewers, thank you so much for being a part of this beautiful journey. And we hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please write to us and send in your feedback. Also share with your family and friends this episode if you really enjoyed it. And don't forget to follow and subscribe with these details. Until next time, namaskar.
This program was brought to you by Dobowi Group and supported by Fabindia.